our religion, our faith, has to address the environment, has to address the community, has to address issues of poverty. What are some of the things you liked about Chicago?
Oh, the Art Institute.
And one of the things I know that you and I share is Chicago.
This is true.
Really distinct goals. Our primary interest was in campaign finance reform, but we were also interested in election law and in civil union.
And better and cleaner politics in Oregon. Dan, good to have you on Speaking Frankly. That's the thing is, we as human beings live together on this planet Earth.
Right.
We also live together in our societies, in our nations, in our communities. Welcome to Speaking Frankly. Well, summer finally made it. It's a beautiful day, and I think all of us are looking forward to these beautiful days for the rest of the summer. Now, I have as my special guest today, Rob Schulman. Rob, good to have you on Speaking Frankly.
Thank you very much, Frank.
Well, you've been on my program before.
I have.
And I always appreciate your insights, and we're going to have a very important topic today.
I think so.
Yes. Mental health.
Mental health.
The nature of mental health.
Well,
and
yes.
what it is that we can and should know about mental health here in the U.S., well, around the world, actually.
And right here in Yamhill County.
Yes. Now, one of the things that I've been concerned about is that so often we make a kind of a distinction between mental health and physical health, and yet they are really connected, aren't they?
Yes, they are connected. One of the misunderstandings about mental health is, what is it exactly? Basically, there are a number of kinds of mental health problems, but it is all a series of brain disorders. The brain simply is not functioning properly. If somebody has a kidney that doesn't function properly, they go to somebody who deals with kidneys.
Yes.
If somebody has liver problems or heart problems, they go to a specialist. And this is an organic disorder, a biological disorder of the brain, generally involves brain chemicals. Now, I'm not a specialist. I don't come from a professional background with this. Mine is a personal experience, as we talked about before. I have a brother with schizophrenia, and I'll describe a little more about that. But today's program, I'd like to focus in on the organization that is an advocate for the for mental illness and for the mentally ill and their families, and that's called NAMI, which is the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill. NAMI.
NAMI.
Right.
National Alliance for the Mentally Ill.
Right.
Okay, let's, I've had just recently this wonderful experience with my granddaughter.
Oh, tell me about that, yeah.
Who just finished her 2 years studying here on the Linfield campus here in McMinnville, and now is working on this nurse's degree in Portland.
Oh, okay.
And they have her assigned to the hospital working with the mentally ill in Salem.
In the psychiatric care.
Yes.
I see.
And so she comes and has dinner with us, stays overnight, and then goes back to a 7 o'clock appointment there.
I bet she has some interesting tales
She
to tell
really
you.
does.
Right.
So this is wonderful that you can bring us up to date.
Yeah, and you have more of a window into the kinds of treatment that's available and the kinds of challenges that are out there. I think one of the ways that we can go forward on this discussion today between you and I is to remember that mental illness is something that strikes Democrats and Republicans and libertarians alike.
Yes.
The numbers are absolutely staggering. I had no idea until I got involved with this NAMI group.
Yes.
And this is a national organization with a local chapter.
Here in Yamhill County.
Right here in Yamhill County, and I'll tell a little more about that in some time. But I think part of my motivation for coming today was when we meet once a month.
Yes.
Here in McMinnville on Thursday, the first Thursday of the month from 7 o'clock to about 8:30.
From 7 to 8:30 the first Thursday of the month.
The first Thursday, yeah.
Oh,
and so
okay.
I don't recall what the first Thursday is this coming June, but the first Thursday in June, I think it's the 4th,
Yes.
will be our meeting night. And one of the things we try to do is to advocate for our loved ones, in my case my brother, who have mental illness, and for families that are dealing with this extraordinarily challenging and difficult environment that's created by somebody who's struck down with mental illness.
Well, now tell me, you meet the first Thursday of the month for Yamhill
Right.
County.
That's right.
Where do you meet?
We meet in a place called the Abacus House, which is on, I believe it's 5th and Galloway, here in McMinnville. It was a house specially designed about, I think, 5-6 years ago to assist the mental health program here in Yamhill County. Again, I don't know the inner workings of mental health, but I know that Abacus was something that was funded through mental health and some grants.
I see.
And so it's over in 5th and Galloway. It's a very nice setup. There are resources for people who have mental illnesses to come, get job training, have daytime programs. It's a way to integrate people that have had this terrible thing happen to them,
Yes.
a way to integrate into society the best they possibly can. And also it's a place for us, the family members and loved
Yes.
ones of people who have mental illnesses, to help one another, to support one another. And about 2 months ago, what kind of brought this really home to me as far as how much do people really know about mental illness
Yes.
in town. I mean, you and I were talking and you say, well, you know, how much do people actually know intimately about what resources are available, what kind of treatments are available? And I wrote an editorial because there was a woman, and her name was Stacy Laslett. And I read this heartbreaking story of a woman, I think she was 40 or 50 years old, who was found dead. And her sister wrote an editorial, and there was quite a story about her in the News Register that said
Yes.
she had an undiagnosed mental illness. And that broke my heart because this is a woman who never received treatment for the mental illness, and she'd been sick since the time she was about 20 years old. So for 20, 30 years, she suffered from this, and she never got treatment. And I wrote an editorial, and the kind of things that happened from getting some information out to the public are, for instance, I happened to be talking to one of my neighbors, somebody I've known for 10, 15 years, and she said to me, I'm glad you wrote that editorial. And I said, yeah, well, I appreciate that. She says, I have a son who has schizophrenia. And I never ever knew that.
Yes.
You don't have occasion to broach that sensitive topic
Yes.
with people, even if you get to know them fairly well. I never knew that she had a son, and in her case, it was really a shame, really heartbreaking again, because her son was so sick that she didn't have any contact with him. The other unfortunate thing is sometimes people end up in prisons, in the judicial system, which is not the place for people with mental illness. And one of the things I try to do, and one of the things that we as a group attempt to do through NAMI and individually, is inform the public in general about what's happening. And I think one of the most dramatic statistics, and I'm going to try to stay away from
Yeah.
just raw statistics,
Sure.
but you know, 1 in 5 families in this country, 1 in 5 families is going to have at some time someone close to them, a son, a daughter, a father, a mother, who has a serious mental illness.
Now
That's
let's
a lot of
get that
people.
figure once again.
Yeah.
1 in 5,
1 in 5.
20%.
That works out to 20%.
Yes.
And the other thing is, which brought this home, I started reviewing some of the materials that NAMI puts out and the mental health, the national organizations put out. And this is also really stunning. About 5 million people suffer from acute episodes of mental illness, which includes things like schizophrenia, bipolar disorders, obsessive compulsive disorders, panic disorders. 5 million people in a given year. That's more than all the heart attacks, more than all the cancer, and more than all of one other serious disease, more than all the diabetes that is diagnosed in 1 year combined. So all of those biological medical problems combined, there are more people who suffer from mental illnesses in a single year. And the numbers, like my brother with schizophrenia, there are almost 3 million people in this country alone. So 3 million. That's almost the entire population of Oregon who have
3